Hello and welcome to the Interprise Suite System Manager module demo. Start at the top of the menu. I've got workflow here where we can action certain things like the country or company checklist. Same thing on the menus. So if I start a country, this will load a list of all the countries loaded into the system. Flags are already there. The numeric ISO is there. The currency symbols already there. 3-letter and 2-letter ISO. So look at for Kingdom. What we'll find is we've got United Kingdom, GB. And obviously you can edit it as you go. One of the things obviously you decide is it in the European Union or not. What's the default class template for consumers and for business customers when people are in this country? Which ones should they actually pick? You've also got like a searchable postcode. What that means is that for the United States, for example, if you type a US company in address in, then when you type 90210, it'll actually put the city, state, and county in for you. We're actually working at the minute with postcodes from Ordnance Survey. So actually see if we can do it for the UK as well. But otherwise you end up having to buy the path file off Royal Mail, which is copyrighted and obviously costs money. Okay, so that's countries. Postal codes, obviously a list of the postal codes, and payment types are things when you actually do receipts and payments. You make as many of these as you want, and obviously this one's like cash or other, check and credit card, and you can say what's the description, what is the payment method, and you actually got 3 defined methods in the background. So if it's credit card, it knows to bring up the credit card screen and ask for the details, all that kind of stuff, and which bank account do you want it to go into, and obviously if it is a credit card, what's the gateway behind it, and obviously we use Sage Pay, so okay, or Protex as it was called. Okay, payment terms. Okay, so these are terms that you use on your customers and suppliers. If I pick on, let's say, 30 days with 2% discount if paid within 7 days, you can see that you have a code for it. You have a description. Is it active or not? Is it from end of month, calendar month, or is it seasonal? Or is it number of days net of the actual document date? So 30 days from invoice date. And usual payment method is that. Any settlement discount? Yes, it's a percent. It's so many days. And what's the discount if they obviously pay within that time frame? We have payment term groups. Okay, and the reason we have these is mainly because we have an e-commerce system, so you can decide what group of payment options a customer has. So for example, if I look at the business one here, I can see that I've got the settlement discount terms, the credit card, net 30 or payment on order. So when we do a sales order for them, obviously one will default in, whichever one we specify as a default, but if they were ordering on the web, for example, they get all these options here, assuming they're within the credit limit. Shipping methods, lots of different types. Let's just do a new one so you can see what options we have. I'll do this based on value of order. Okay, by order and amount. So if I say if the order's 0 to 500, then they can pay £10. Above £500, they can have delivery free. Or I could just do something like a flat charge, and then say flat charge is £10 per delivery. Oops, £10 per delivery, or £100 per delivery. Won't get many orders, I think. Okay, so you also got by weight. So you can say, well, if the weight is from 0 to 100 kilos, they have to pay £10. Above 100 kilos or whatever to 300 kilos, they pay £20, and above that they pay £30. So you can make lots of different shipping methods, and when you obviously do them on the order, they start calculating delivery based on what the order values are. Okay. Multi-currency, just literally we saw this in an accounting demo, but if I pick on let's say euro, you can see the exchange rate. So if I change it to 1.1, and save that, I can see I've got a currency history of who changed it when. Yeah. I've got other things on here like what's the description, and other things to do with the actual formatting of the currency when you actually want to see it. But most of the currencies are actually in here as standard. It's up to you whether you make them active or not. So I think only only the number that you actually want to use should be made active. Okay. Source. Literally when you're doing an order or an opportunity or whatever, these are all your sources that you want to use. You can just add as many as you like, make them inactive or active. Departments, yeah. So these are departments that people work in, yeah. And same with things like document types. What types of document do you want to have in the document management? Salutations, Misters, Mrs, all that kind of stuff. Business titles, when you actually set up contacts. Another good thing on here is user role. So let's have a look at user roles. Let's create a new user role called, I'll just call it credit. So this will be a user role for a credit controller or a couple of credit controllers. So what you do is you set up a user role, and then you can set up as many users attached to that user role as you want. So I'm going to say they're going to have access to the customer module, and that's it. Yeah, and in the customer module, they can have access to. I'm going to hide most of this stuff. Yeah, and I'm going to enable find customer. So I'm going to unhide that one, and I'm going to unhide find customer, and I'm going to unhide the credit control tab, and I might unhide the document document printing. That's about it. Okay, so when this user logs in, all he's going to get is find customer, new customer, find customer, and the credit control and batch printing options. You can actually not just hide them, but you can disable them. Yeah, so what that means is that when you they can see the menu option, but they can't actually click on it. So now I'm going to open the customer form. Okay, so you can see they've got a menu there for customer. Should open the customer form, and basically for tabs, yeah, I can go to customize and I can hide that, so then they won't be able to see that. So the user attached to this user role won't be able to see that tab. I can double click on here and I can bring fields, yeah, so I can drag and drop fields onto here that I've created. I could do this the same for all these as well if I wanted to. Just gives you an example. So I save and close that, get rid of that, and save and close this user role. Okay, so we've done the credit user role, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a user, yeah, that actually will use that. Okay, so let's create a new user account and call them credit, yeah, and we'll call the username credit, and we'll call their password credit as well, so I might be able to remember it. Okay, the user role that I want them to use is going to be credit, one we just created. You've got the things in here, what's the name and address, and what's the default team and territory and code, and you can also decide what kind of skin they can see. Yeah, so I don't know I'll just save this. Yeah, it'll take a little while to build it. But if you look, what the skin really means is, like, I've got the black skin here, you've got blue. Yeah, it just changes everything. Yeah, if I got kind of Windows XP type look. Great if you've got lots of company data sets, brilliant, because what you can do is you can specify that in that company data set we have black, in that one we have blue, in that one we have kind of like silver, so it reminds you where you are. Yeah, so I'm just going to go back to black because I quite like the black one. Okay, so let's just log out a second, yeah, and come back in as credit, yeah, and credit. Okay, so what I should get now is literally new customer, find customer, yeah, and credit control, yeah. So obviously it could do with a bit of laying out that menu, but hey. So then you get the credit control. You can go into the customer account, and if we ignore the debtors stuff, of course that's covered in the customer module. Look at the general tab. You can see that we haven't got the wave tab, and we've got our new SIC code, yeah, field that we dragged on. Okay, so I'll just say no. I'll just come back out and go back in as admin. Okay, so the thing about that is that you can create as many users as you want. You can assign them all to the same user role if you want. Yeah. Um, but it's a nice way of creating your own user menu, yeah, and layout. Okay, what else have we got here? Well, we're talking about the, the field as such. Let's just go into Manage Data Dictionary so I can show you that how easy it is to add custom fields. Yeah, so if I kind of go to here, C for customer, hang on a sec, C for customer. Okay, so look at the customer table. Yeah, what you'll be able to see is there's all the name and address and fax number and currency and all that kind of stuff. And it's dead easy for us to add our own custom fields. And you can decide whether it's searchable, nullable, read only, show on the list, show on the class. Yeah. So if I add a custom field, yeah, I can say what's this for. Let's say, I don't know, number, employees or something. What type is it? Okay, well, is it alphanumeric? Is it a date and time? Is it a yes and no? Is it a number? I think what we have is, I'll just make it alphanumeric. Yeah, and what is the default? Yeah, I'll say 0, or 1. Let's say. Oops. And what length do we want it? Well, I don't think we want it more than 10. And what are our options? Obviously. The main different one here is it a pull down list? Yeah, so I'm just gonna say it's just a normal field. But if it was a pull down list, you could specify the options in the pull down list. So you can actually vet people's data. So you could say like 1 to 10, or 11 to 25, all that kind of stuff. So I'll say, okay, what's the label we want on it? Yeah, and I'll just say next. Yeah, and finish, and that will add that. Field to our database, just like that SIC code one I dragged onto the form there. Okay, so I'm not going to save it. So company checklist, you can create a new company very easily, but company checklist is exactly the same. Yeah, and what it does is you usually fill out your name and address, put your logo on there. Your logo will go across all your reports, all your stationery as standard, same as the name and address here and all this details. You click create a new database and away you go. Yeah, and what it does is it takes you through the setup process as well. So like payment terms, what are they? Which do you want? Yeah, do you want to get rid of some? Do you want to add some? Yeah, so all these buttons are edit what you've got or add new. Same with preferences, same with ship to methods, so what your accounting periods, what's your bank accounts, yeah, and effectively it's a kind of reminder list. You don't have to use this, you just literally can set up your database, yeah, which a lot of people do, yeah, they say finish, yeah, and then they kind of go into customer, into setup, and they set the preferences and all that kind of stuff there, rather than actually do it in the company checklist. Have an import wizard. Okay, so more used when you're actually setting up, but if you look, you've got things for accounting. You can import budgets, you can import journals. CRM, you can import contacts, leads and prospects. Inventory, you can put stock opening balances on, or just you do stock take that way. Items, supplier is opening balances and supplier names and addresses. And if you look at customer, you've got customer and customer opening balances, and you've got something in here where you browse the file to find it. Okay, to browse the actual file that you want, yeah, or what you can do is you can create a template. Yeah, so the templates for someone that doesn't know what the actual headers are. So I just look at my Excel. You can see that what it's saying here is there's some notes here as well. That's kind of like tips. So the customer code. If you don't enter one, it'll generate one. The customer name, the currency code, business type, and if you look, it's got all the fields in the customer file that you could possibly want. Yeah, and it also adds on your custom fields if you've added any. Yeah, so you can actually import to your custom fields. Yeah, so those are the headers that you'd use. So it doesn't, you can put the data into this spreadsheet, yeah, or you can just literally get your spreadsheet and put these names of these columns, yeah, onto your data. Yeah, and it has to be named that column to actually import properly. Yeah, okay, so that's importing, import wizard. Just trying to think what else we got here. We've got kind of numbering, so if I kind of look at my customer and my invoice or whatever, what's my next number? Yeah, and how big do you want it to show on the screen, even though behind the scenes it's like 20 characters long, or sort of 20 numbers long. Oh, well, alphanumeric actually. System preferences are for things like what's the default company skin, and if I use a fax service, what's the fax service address, and that's it. Yeah, so that's basically System Manager. Thanks for watching.